Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 469. I had the white pieces and I started with knight f3, thinking maybe to get a reti if he allows. He plays knight f6, and I wasn't really sure what to respond to that actually. I haven't played the reti for that long. I got inspired by watching Chess Explained to play it, and so I started to try it out. And in fact, this move is what I often play as black. It's kind of a waiting move to it puts the knight on a good square and it waits to see what kind of setup white is going for. So I could go with the queen's pawn opening now with d4. What I chose to do was go c4 and play in an English opening, which is one of the advantages of this knight f3 move, is it's very flexible and you can kind of choose your opening from here. If I want to stay on ready territory, I should play probably g3 or maybe even b3. Interesting ways to play. But anyway, for this game I chose c4. I think next time I'll try g3 and see how that goes. Next time I face this position. So we've transposed into an English opening at this point. He goes e6, and I go g3, keeping this fianchetto setup. And now I think the most logical follow-on to black's play is to play the move d5 here. Just challenging the c-pawn and grabbing that space in the center. But he plays d5. He plays c5 first. So that prevents me from moving this pawn forward. And he's going to play d5 later. So we're going to get to kind of a similar position. I go bishop g2. He goes d5 now. And I decide to trade. I think this is okay. I'm giving up. It's one of the ideas here is you give up your flank pawn. You give up your c-pawn for a center pawn. And so you have, with two pawns in the center versus one, in the long run you may have some extra center influence and a solid pawn structure. Although right here I make a mistake. So the best move is d4 in this position. Castles, I guess, could be played too. But d4, the choice of the opening book, and it transposes into something that looks like a Tarrasch defense to the queen's gambit. And that's pretty good for white, so that's probably the way to play it. I played d3, keeping in this kind of English setup, reverse Sicilian type of thing. And looks like black pretty much equalizes in this line. Knight c6, I castle. He goes h6 to stop me from pinning his knight there. I go knight c3. The good thing about this setup is that I know where all my pieces go. I've played this a lot with the black pieces as well as with the white pieces. So it's one of the interesting things about the English. If you play the Sicilian, you can play the English as white and get similar positions. Okay, he goes bishop e6 here. I guess one point of that earlier d4 move is that it prevented, or would have prevented black from playing d4, but it looks like black playing d4 right here, kicking this knight around, is a good move. This knight could go to b5, I suppose, but I don't have the bishop out on f4 to support it just yet, so I might just get harassed there. Or if the knight goes to e4, it gets traded off, and I end up with doubled e-pawn. So d4 for black here would be a good move and a way to keep the edge. He goes bishop e6. I go bishop d2. So both of us are ignoring this d4 idea, which is once again a move here. Although he plays bishop e7, also a good move. I go rook c1, and he castles. So both sides are just completing their development in a normal way, and the result is a position that the engine prefers black in. Black just has more space. But black still has to come up with a plan, a way to win the game. So I'm not feeling too bad about this position myself. I play a3. Want to keep his knight out of the b4 square, and I would like to play the move b4 myself and try and create some weaknesses on his queenside pawns. It's kind of the idea is you have your not that diagonal. You have your pieces aimed at the queenside, and if you can throw a few pawns forward and create some weaknesses over there, there's some interesting play sometimes. But it's not so easy in this position because he's got both his knight and his bishop. That's a well-posted bishop there controlling the b4 square. So difficult setup for me. Difficult for me to make progress immediately. Anyway, he goes queen d7. I go queen c2. And now he goes bishop to h3, choosing to trade off this light-squared bishop. And at this point I go e4. I've kind of given up on this b4 plan, and I'm looking at another way to undermine this pawn duo here. He decides to trade bishops and then takes. And now I do have a center pawn, then he doesn't, but well, black still has some space advantage, and I think his pieces are a little better coordinated here. So you see that black keeps the edge for a while. He plays b6, which shores up this pawn, although it was adequately defended, so he maybe had something better. Anyway, I go rook f d1, putting my rook opposite the queen. The queen goes to e6. Taking a look at some of these light squares. Now my light squares are kind of weak. I don't have the light squared bishop, so maybe he can exploit that in some way. I go bishop e3, still trying to arrange some kind of play against the queenside pawns. And he goes rook a to d8. And I go knight d2. I'm thinking I want to free up my queen to move, so I want to securely defend the e pawn, and also want to free up the f pawn to come forward and chase away a knight that might hop into this e5 square. But this move actually is a bit mistimed. If you look at the engine evaluation, it shows immediately that knight e5 can be played right here. He didn't play this, but this would be good. This is how black really utilizes his advantage. And now if I play the move f4, which is what I wanted to play, he can drop his knight into d3. It's supported by the rook, and my knight placed here on d2 defending the e-pawn is also blocking the defense of this square. And this is kind of an annoying position. He can even follow up with a move like c4 and just kind of cement that knight into my position there. Yeah, so interesting. He can also double his rooks. Rook d7 and rook f to d8 is the plan suggested by the chess engine. So that'd be pretty good for black. So I need to play something other than knight d7 here. What's the engine saying? Queen a4 is an interesting idea. And just going after that knight. It keeps his queen tied down, I guess, defending the knight. And I'm also taking a look at the a-pawn over here. It's another way to put more pressure on the queenside pawns. And the engine is also saying h3 might be a move there. Yeah, keeping the knight out of the g4 square makes sense. Okay, so this knight d2 was a bad move. But he didn't fully exploit it. He played knight d7. I guess he had some plans of his own to rearrange his pieces. But, well, he could have put a knight on e5 immediately and it would have been better. So now I go knight e2. And, yeah, so he's given up the advantage and we're in the range of about even. He pushes on with a5. Maybe that's the idea of this move. Knight to d7 defends the b6 pawn, so he's free to move the a pawn forward. And then this knight wouldn't be needed to defend the a pawn. So it's a way of freeing up his pieces. Maybe you're trying to get some queenside counterplay going. But it seems like, yeah, it's just the wrong idea. With those two moves, the first one being knight d7 and the second one being a5, the advantage at first, it shifted from advantage to him to even, and then now from even to advantage to me. And I actually play the right moves here. He's just kind of boxed his queen in a little bit, and I can harass it and get my pieces into better squares, starting with knight f4. Queen went to e5, and then knight to c4. So both my knights have improved. His queen is chased all the way back to c7, and I played knight d5. And actually he resigned here. I don't know why he resigned. I'm not actually winning material. I mean, it looks like I'm forking the queen and the bishop, but the bishop is defended by his knight. So so there's no loss of material here. It's just a positional advantage. You know, I've gained just superior places for my pieces. The evaluation of the chess engine shifted a lot. But from a human point of view, you know, the material is still even. I would certainly play on. I might feel like if I was black, I was a bit worse, but I would certainly play on. So either he didn't notice that his bishop was defended, or perhaps, which sometimes happens, you know, something came up and he had to leave and he wanted to resign rather than let his clock run out, which is the polite thing to do. So I don't know exactly what happened there, but this is where he resigned. That's how the game ended. So I thought there were some interesting points in that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.